Hi, my name is Matt Carroll with World Class Coaching, and today, with the help of Academy Sports Coach 2022, I want to talk to you a little bit about a session I've designed for possession-based activities. Now, the inspiration I got for this book, for this session, is from this book we have available on the website that I'll put in the comments section called 30 Activities to Develop a Possession-Based Game. Now, I generally don't play a true possession, tiki-taka kind of style game with my teams, especially coaching in high school. It's a very transition-based game. It's very direct. We try to teach, obviously possession as a skill base, but generally what we're looking for is a lot of counterattacking football and things like that. And even a couple of years back during the pandemic, with World Class Coaching, I did a podcast interview on here talking about the merits of counterattacking football versus possession-based. So I thought this book was really interesting for me personally to kind of just delve in and get a little bit more of insight. How can I bring a more of a possession-based style, some of that more of the beautiful game into my my sessions and things like that. And I really enjoyed reading this book. So you can definitely check that out in the comment section and check out the book for yourself. But in this session, it's obviously, possession-based, so we're going to be involving rondos. So a lot of these are initially rondos. And there's a rondo I like to use that I'll interject into this session that I didn't see in the book, with the same kind of concepts. And I'll talk about how I utilize that I use it to teach the transition game, but it can easily be used as a focus on the possession-based part of the game. So what we've got here is just a fluid 2v1. We create a box, and it's just 2v1. Players are passing back and forth, basically playing monkey in the middle, but they have the free reign to move. So what we're talking about is trying to implement styles of 2v1 situations we want to utilize in the game. So do we generally want our player dropping off back here to provide an outlet pass and then a secondary run that cuts across the face of this defender? Are we looking for consistently looking for the underlap, the overlap? Maybe you make the groups, this is a winger and outside back, and we want that overlap run. Maybe it's a 6 and an 8, and we want the 6 to drop off. And in this situation, we're looking for these situations play themselves out as much as possible. So we're just working on fluid 2v1, things like that. And again, specific to what you want to implement within your game system. So then what we'll do to transition that is we'll split it into two sections. And then when yellow eventually wins the ball, they play, yellow transitions, black transitions over, and we have a 2v1 on this end. So making it a little bit more fluid, making it a little more game-like. And that's going to kind of be the thread of this session is possession, because once you lose possession, basically, someone's got to sit out, he's got to work hard. Possession-based, there's an intrinsic reward for keeping possession of the ball in these individual drills. So then we'll go, we'll remove this. I'll remove the entire thing. And I like this concept of you have the rondo going, and you have a cone at each corner of the grid here. And you have 3 players. So one here. And obviously you have an open grid available to you. So we'll go yellow here. Now, what will make the rule is the player can only receive a pass when they're standing at one of these cones or standing in front of one of these cones. So what you're doing is you're talking about the off-the-ball movement in the possession game, which obviously, the skill to possess, beat a guy 1v1, create passing lanes is all very, very important. But the off-the-ball movement is going to be the most important for a possession-style game. You're going to need available options, at least 2 to 3 options available for passing to utilize this system. So what we're doing here is, this player moves off the ball and they move here. Right, the defender comes here. Our best option probably is going to be this way, and we're going to move here. And then predicting this movement, this player then is going to move over here, and we're going to keep possession. So players can't just kind of pass, wait, and watch. They have to be moving. They have to be thinking, where do I need to be at the next cone? So the bigger the grid you make, the more difficult it's going to be. This player might have to sit here on the ball 1v1 and control and possess. Maybe they have to turn their back. Who knows? It's going to be kind of dependent on what the defensive pressure is. So smaller, it's going to be a little quicker. Maybe it'll be a little more difficult because the defender doesn't have to move as far, but the players will be able to transition a little bit quicker in a 3v1. So to kind of extend it and make it a little more difficult, you're going to make it the grid a little bit bigger to make them have to move and sprint to those new positions. And then another way to just kind of up the difficulty is you make it 3v2. So you always want to have this open grid though. You can make it, one here, whatever, but you want to have an open space so that there is somewhere for our attacking players to go to. Okay. So the next one we'd go here is we would just take it and we go 3v2. We make it a little more fluid, make it a little more game-like, add the barrier in the between. Okay. Add the barrier in between there. And now black passes back and forth. Okay. If yellow wins the ball, transition, yellow transitions with them, and it's just 3v2 on this side. Now, this is, again, is the basic concept of this session is that you're building up from these small interactions to making it more game-like, to making it the transition phase, to making it there's consequences if you don't possess the ball. I really enjoy this game at a 5v3 level. I think that's probably the most game-like situation you're going to get, because you're going to have the forward, sideways, backwards options, plus two players in the midfield, or another guy running around. And you can make it 5v2 or 5v3. I like to make it a 5v3, so you got the pressure, cover, and balance. And there's a lot of transitions. If you'd like to be a little more possession-based, you can go 5v2, so they have a little more time on the ball, and then challenge them as the 5v3. But I like building this up to a 5v3. So I call it 5v5 as a 5v3. The players taken to referring just to Cinco because there's so many fives in it. But I think that's kind of the way to scale it up to all this, is to go with the 5v5 as a 5v3 or 5v5 as a 5v2. Now, another take on it that I'm going to get to in a second is having the defenders having a solid attacking team, and then have the defenders pop in and out. But before we get to that, I really like this concept when you're playing possession. This is a great way to kind of a mid way to check in on how your players are doing with this possession game. So before we get into some of the more complicated stuff, kind of check in, hey, is this working? Are they getting something out of this? Are they able to possess? So play the ball in here, 5v0, let them play. They connect 5 passes, you go 5v1. They connect 5 passes, 5v2. 5 passes, 5v3. 5 passes, 5v4. And then 5 passes, 5v5. And see how long they can possess. And you can make it a game. See how many times they're able to possess. Once they have 5 in, how many passes were they able to make? They were able to make 5 passes. They were able to make 10 passes. Then you switch it. You go yellow. Yellow possesses it. How long can you go before you lose the ball? So one defender comes over, one attacker comes over, one attacker comes over, one attacker comes over. Everyone should at least hopefully get 5 passes before they transition. They give up the ball, and we go from there. So a great kind of mid-session check-in to see how much they're gathering these concepts that you're putting out there. Now, again, similar to what I was talking about before, the 5v5 is a 5v3. You have this grid here, and you're going to place, let's say 4. We'll go 4. 4 attackers in here. Okay. And on the same team, maybe you have a different color, maybe switch up pennies, but these are attacking players, so I'll make them black in here. And you're going to have 3 defending players. If you'll come over here. Not really been realistic. All right. So you have your 4 attacking players. They're looking to possess the ball. Okay. Once they get the ball's passed out from here. 2 yellow players come in and try to defend. After they hit a certain number of passes, 5 passes, whatever, their job then is to take the ball and transition to their grid. When that ball transitions, one player from yellow pops over here. The player that was out pops in here, and this player that's left out pops back in here. So you have one rest player. So what you're doing in this is you're looking to possess for a purpose. You're possessing, you're keeping possession in order to transition, to order to set up the defense so they're far enough away that you can make the next pass to create space to make it a transitionary pass to the other grid. You've got defenders coming out. You got one that's kind of pressing for the situation. It's high intensity. One player defensive that's coming out of nowhere that you're not really paying attention to. And you have one defensive player that's getting rested and fresh. So you're getting that high intensity to come up against when you're passing. Again, really like this drill because it's now you've taken the possession base. It's not just a rondo. It's not just keep away. You're making it goal oriented where you're going from one grid to the other grid in order to try to possess and towards the goal of advancing the ball forward. And then from here, what I would do is, put into effect a scrimmage, and maybe you put some stipulations in the scrimmage. This many passes equals the goal itself, something along those lines. And then at the end, make sure that you take out all of the stipulations and let them play at least 10 minutes of just true, unrestricted soccer, so they get the sense of like, okay, now how does this actually apply to the game? How can I take these concepts and apply to the game? And then you on your end can kind of evaluate and assess, be like, okay, it was great. It looked awesome. We put together 20 passes in a row in the previous game, and this team won by a million. And then we went to a game, and everyone was just like popping the ball over the back line and trying to run onto it. And we just totally got away from that possession-based game. And that way, you can kind of tweak and assess, what's working, what's not working, what you need to fix within there. So yeah, I really like to hear, some of the things that you guys do to teach a possession-based game. Something, just some of this. I'm really more interested in some of the smaller, the initial drills, the first or second rotation drills of how are you teaching specific elements of possession. What are your key words? What are your key phrases? What are your key, your biggest building blocks you have in your sessions to build up that possession-based game. And so again, really great reading this book, 30 Activities to Develop a Possession-Based Game. Put it in the comment section along with your comments on the on my question in the comment section on YouTube. So my name is Matt Carroll with the help of Academy Sports Coach 22.2 and World Class Coaching. I hope this session finds you well.